What is up, guys? Welcome to the Unfazed Facts Podcast, a podcast dedicated to all things Gym Leader Challenge. And I'm your host, Joshua Benson, and I'm here with Jeff Baisch and Ben Morse. Pretty exciting stuff right there. We're excited to have Ben on with us for another Full Grip Games 3K Gym Leader Challenge recap. And, usually during these recaps, Jeff and I have not a whole lot to share besides what we have, we see the decks, we see the live, we see the stream. It's fun. It's cool. But Ben here gets to live it every single second, minute of that tournament. And he usually does pretty well. He is our inside full grip guy. And we always love having Ben on. Thank you so much, Ben, for being on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Yeah. Just, I'm leaving for home for California at the end of this week to start my Christmas break time. So yeah, just looking forward to that time, but doing well. How are you guys?
Dude, so we're about to go up to Pennsylvania, that's where my wife is from. And during this time, we're always missing each other now, because last year I was like, man, Ben's going to be gone. I'm not going to see him. And I haven't been able to make my way back since the old place, so
yeah,
kind of sad, but he'll eventually make it up there again.
Someday.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, and that
How about you,
I've
Jeff?
never even been close to full grip games, It's a dream. We'll see. It's a dream for when little Baisch gets a little bit older and I've got free time to make card trip journeys again. For now, I think Charlotte, like an hour away, is about the farthest I get for like a day trip here and there. But who knows? I'll make it one day. But
Well, that's why I'm here. I'll tell you guys everything you missed. So
Yes, please.
that's what I need in my life. Is I need the insider stuff, and that's what everyone else needs, Ben. That's why we got you on, and that's why I'm excited to jump into these lists and talk with y'all today about the Full Grip 3K.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to go ahead and get into our breakdown. And with our breakdown, we had about 78 players in this Full Grip 3K. And, that's a little bit down from last time. I don't know if it's just because it's the end of the year and people are busy going about and doing stuff, or maybe not, since it is the end of the year, people are saving their money from traveling to travel during the holidays. So that's kind of what I was thinking. But we got 78 players, 7 Swiss rounds, and top cut. That's usually going to be about 3 rounds because you got top 8, top 4, top 2 going at it. Speaking of top cut, Ben Morse was able to make it to top cut. We didn't actually get to see him on stream, unfortunately, but he's probably got some things to let us know, which is going to be pretty exciting once we get to it. But yeah, it was awesome to see that. And then, our meta breakdown. Oh my goodness. Psychic. Ben was one of them. Psychic was on the top. We had 31 and no type really even came close to, hitting that same threshold of 30. We got fighting hitting 15, which is 50% of that. If you're good at math, unlike me, I have been messing up on math a lot lately. Jeff knows about that. He's been getting on to me.
Don't let them near the numbers, guys. Don't let them near those numbers.
Don't let me chop them up into bits. But, Psychic, although it has 31, it also has so many sub-archetypes within that same type, which makes Psychic such a formidable foe. But that being said, Ben, what does it, going in and looking at this matchup spread, did you expect this type of matchup spread, or is this totally off of what you thought?
it's pretty close to what I was expecting. I think I was expecting even more fighting, to be honest.
Yeah.
So maybe if I was drop like 5 or 6 from the Psychic list and toss those onto fighting. That's kind of about what I was thinking. High 20s for Psychic, low 20s for fighting. But yeah, so it seems like more people just swapped over to Psychic. RDT, the fighting deck that everyone loves and talks about, that won the last 3K, is the most popular way to play fighting now, with 12 representing them. Was a very strong choice at the last event, and yeah, it was also. I mean, it's a very strong deck, but I think people were a little more prepared for it, um, and we saw that with only one making it through into top eight. But yeah, there's so many different ways to play Psychic, and all four of the versions that made it into top eight were also, slightly different variations themselves. So, Psychic, I've played Psychic at the last three Ks. And the one before that was the one I won with colorless. So, I've been on the Psychic train for forever, and finally got a win in this post-COVID era. Has not It's been present in a lot of top eights, but it has not took home the championship yet until this one. So I'm very happy to see that. I love playing Psychic. It's my favorite type to play. And the diversity in Psychic is a big reason for that. Psychic mirrors, I think, are, one of the most fun matchups in the format currently, because you can, depending on your list, you can do a lot of different things in the face of a Psychic deck. There's a lot of like counterplay back and forth. It's also, not necessarily a super fast aggro deck where you have to be worried about, getting swept off the board early. So most Psychic mirrors will be a game, and so that makes the matchup really fun. But yeah, then Water coming up third, of course, and the rest of the types, those are just those people that love it, for the love of the game.
They just love the deck.
They just love it. Yeah, they built their deck. They love their deck, and there's a couple people that are like, there's a metal deck that made top eight, for example. People that work really hard on these less top tier types in an effort to take down, and show their worth. And we had a metal player who managed to do that and make it into top eight, despite there only being two metal decks in the field. So very impressive. Lightning, I don't know about that.
Yeah, Lightning hasn't been doing too well. It's been lost for a long time now.
Lightning's a tough choice into a fighting world, man. I mean, just like all your dudes are tiny, like
especially now,
two ping Lou spreads and you're cooked, So like, Lightning is a tough one to crack.
Absolutely. I know one.
You go.
Sorry.
My bad.
Yeah, no, you're good. I know one of the Lightnings was a local GLC player at Full Grip who, kind of just joined the community in the last couple months and is having a good time. And it's been great getting to know him. But yeah, I don't think his day went too hot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at this meta list, and obviously, what Ben said, I'll echo a bit. I mean, Psychic, Fighting, Water at the top there is no surprise, but you did kind of, colorless being at 2, we even had as recently as, maybe not the last one, but the one before that, we had Lion, I think Chen do pretty well with a Ursa Luna list. And so, the fact that maybe colorless control isn't more prevalent, they've even got a little bit of tech against Fighting with the Dunsparce that like eliminates weakness. So like there's some playability there, but just colorless sitting at 2 is a little bit surprising. And then Dragon feels like it's fallen off, but maybe it was just that there was a slight surge. I think people have just kind of gotten wise to what Dragon's all about, and it's just about taking care of the setup decks of the format, basically with Raging Bolt. And once people have, started playing bench barriers or ways to heal tiny basics, or even just switching to 70 HP basics, which feels like the most correct way these days, just feels like Dragon just can't compete in a world where other big basics are bigger, doing more damage, and potentially have a little bit more ability to be chained in a more easier fashion. So I think that's where we see Dragon being. And the grass people. Sorry, I thought that the new stadium was going to make grass the new hotness, but just 3 people at grass. I'm so sad, even though I love grass so much. But this feels like a representation of the GLC meta as a whole, especially at the competitive level. So it's cool to see it displayed on paper for us here.
Yeah.
You think we could have Forest of Giant Plants come back?
I don't think it would matter, man. Like,
Dear God, I hope. It probably would. it wouldn't matter right now for I don't think, but it's fine. You don't need two of those.
Yeah, you don't.
At least two of those three grass decks were the control variant egg mill,
Yeah.
um, and I know both of them did pretty decently. One of them was on the winning end, top eight, um, and so yeah. And I actually picked up egg mill this past week at local league, and to be honest, I think it's got some legs. It's really good. Got top eight at the previous event. Uh, yeah, it is a more difficult and unfriendly deck to play. I think for a lot of people, it's intimidating.
Hashtag no remorse.
Hashtag no.
Hashtag no remorse.
It's definitely an intimidating deck to pick up. It took me a long time to pick it up myself, and I still don't play it optimally for sure. But yeah, I do think if more people tried it out, it'd probably see a higher play rate. But yeah, as you said, back in colorless being so low, um, or sorry, let me talk about Dragon first. Dragon falling off. I think a big part of that is just a lot of the people who played Dragon before just jumped over to fighting because it's like the new hot aggro deck and it is better. So it's like if I'm an aggro player, I'm just gonna play the best aggro deck, and right now that's fighting. Dragon, the people that are playing Dragon still probably just like Dragon cards.
Fair.
Yeah, and then colorless. I don't think the Dunsparce is helpful enough, especially sitting at 60 HP. In the face of Tinglu, that's another guy that just dies to 2 spread attacks. On top of like all your guys are pretty much dying without weakness anyways to an Okidogi or a Lucario. So the weakness is not necessarily a factor except for the Marshadow. And then because the Marshadow makes it even more impossible, the Marshadow that takes a knockout and then becomes invincible for a turn after that. Yeah, honestly, I've tried testing a colorless deck to maybe bring to league, and I'll test it into fighting, and it just honestly just feels like so impossible. Like the fighting deck being popular really has run colorless and lightning. And dark for the most part, but the dark people are cooking with dark now to maybe make some kind of a comeback with like Tyranitar and stuff. But yeah, fighting is very, very controlling in terms of the meta. Like it very much discourages harder, hard and more. What's the phrasing? It discourages these decks more than any other type I think we've ever seen in GLC up until this point, and like this archetype specifically, the spread with the aggroness of it and the Marshadow, it really like in a competitive tournament, like if you're expecting a good amount of fighting, like there's kind of no chance for colorless or lightning to make a deep run without avoiding them. So
yeah, fair point. At least until
you see that, but fighting is like so strong into like more archetypes than some of the other archetypes, right?
Yeah,
it's like water is only
crazy.
like water is only strong against fire essentially, and you have fighting that gets to be strong against lightning, gets to be strong against some dark Pokemon, gets to be strong against colorless Pokemon. So that's like 3 whole archetypes that can just say, hey, we don't want you in here. So it kind of does stink that fighting is so good. And maybe that's why they never printed anything for fighting to begin with. Because, they're always thinking about Gym Leader Challenge and never Standard or anything else. But I think we got what I can't say that I was wishing for, but I'm going to use the term, we got what we wished for. And now, did we want that? Did we want?
Hey, I want to go back.
Types. Yeah. Because did we want to have 3 types completely just negated from Gym Leader Challenge when fighting became better, right?
I mean, we had this talk, Josh, when we had a quick attack segment where we talked about Claydol. We were like, make Claydol legal. And I was like, no, dude. The second that fighting gets any draw, it is our new overlord. And like, not that it's necessarily happening now because Psychic is keeping it in check to a degree. Psychic's our new overlord. But, it definitely feels oppressive. And, Ben mentioned all those things about colorless and all. And even like the only thing that colorless could even do to stop a Ting Lu is throw that stadium. What is it? Is it Sky Pillar? And then all of a sudden you're playing into Ting Lu, giving it a stadium to pop at you. So it's not right. Ben, you're
You
right.
could play
Colorless bad.
Sky Pillar and Dunsparce.
You could just play birds. Here's the deal. Every type has access to birds. Let's just play an all lightning bird deck. You got Kilowattrel, you've got Zapdos, more.
Got Rocket Zapdos. Do you do Zapdos?
You got it all.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, it's true that fighting has kind of run these types off the tables when it comes to these competitive events. I'm not super doom about it. Maybe I'm biased because I love Psychic, but I think the meta is still really fun. It's when RDT won, it felt so powerful, even with the way we were playing Psychic at the time. So it kind of was a fun challenge to be testing for this 3K, figuring out different ways to beat fighting, and what we expected other types to kind of pivot to answer in the same way. So I think it's an interesting time if you are kind of like heavy into the competitive side and you're open to, and you're not locked in on playing Metal or Lightning or whatever. I think it is a fun meta right now, and despite a lot of it being purple, it's still very diverse. You can play purple a lot of different ways. You can even play fighting a lot of different ways. You can forego the Ting Lu spread package and go with things like Garganical, and Water is doing some funky things that we'll talk about, the one that got second place here as well. So there's still creativity to be had, and there's still a lot of fun to be had. And though the format is getting faster and more powerful, I don't think it has ruined the format in any way. And there's still a lot of fun to be had in GLC. You just got to work for it sometimes. Working for the way to beat these aggro decks with less aggro styles of play is, got to take that challenge on sometimes.
Yeah. And, since you're so engrossed in the meta and playing a lot more than ourselves, you can definitely say that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Speaking of though, I wanted to like pause it earlier, but then I got sidetracked on a thought. I think it was some GLC thought, but I noticed it was your birthday the other day, and you said it was when you said something about playing Egg Mill. I was like, oh, did you play Egg Mill for your birthday? Because was that your birthday wish to play AI on your birthday?
Yeah, so I brought party hats to League last week, made everyone wear party hats, and then I also made them play me with Egg. I also played Egg Mill into them, and I'm like, you can't be mad at me. I'm just a little birthday boy.
You don't get to play supporters or items, but you know what? It's my birthday.
That's right. You get to act like you're having a good time. Otherwise, you're a party pooper, right?
Look at how many turns we get to play.
Oh, yeah. No, it was, some of those games were a little rough for sure for my opponent.
That's pretty funny, dude. The hashtag no remorse always.
That's right.
All right. That being said, are you guys ready to get into some of this stuff?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we got our top 8, rounding off Hector getting an 8-1-1, and then, our lowest with Anthony getting 5-2-1 with fighting. But this is going to be our spread. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we'll have the name and the placing they got, but this is what it looked like at the end of the night.
A lot of Psychic, a lot of Water.
If you are viewing it, you'll be able to see that. If you are listening to it, you did not get to see that, and I'm sorry. You'll be able to hear everything here in just a second. But runner up, we got some Water by Austin Berryman. We have an interesting set of Water, but the most interesting part about this deck is that Frogadier apparently was not input on the deck list correctly, therefore had to play with a basic stage 2 style there for a while because I had to replace a Frogadier with a basic energy, I believe, or something like that.
Yeah.
And anyways, was playing at a disadvantage and still got second place. Without that happening, could Austin pull off a first place win? We won't know, but that definitely stinks quite a bit.
Yeah. I think he played through all of top 8 without the Frogadier, which meant also Greninja wasn't available because there's no rare candy in the list. And he still managed to make it to finals. So if that was me and I still managed to make it to finals and take home $600-700 or something, I wouldn't be complaining too much.
6-7? 6-7, Ben?
6. I had to sneak that in there.
7, bro.
All my high school are going crazy right now.
Like 7 in here, you're gonna get me in trouble.
Yeah, your brain's much more rotted than mine. It didn't even cross my mind. Okay.
Dude, that's the only thing that I'm going with. This is the brain rot I'm going to go with. I think it's one of the best things. I think it gets older people connected with the younger people and vice versa. And I think it's one of the best viral things we've ever had.
Yeah,
I don't actually do it unless I'm just messing around with people, but it is. I actually think it is because it just, I don't know, the connection is a lot different than other viral things I've seen before.
Yeah. As a teacher who works with ages 14 through 18, this is the least hurtful meme we've ever had. No one's feelings are hurt. No one's making fun of anyone. No one's going to fight over 6-7. It's slightly annoying whenever we're doing a worksheet and I got to be like, all right, who wants to do number 6? And the number 7 gets awful. Of course, do it in Spanish, but I think it's the best meme ever for that reason. And if you're getting aggravated about it, remember people used to eat Tide Pods,
Exactly.
like other things. So, hey, you know what?
Oh, Tide Pod.
Yeah. Give me 6-7 all day.
Yeah, I think you guys are about to be known as the 6-7 guys. I saw you sneaking in that last thumbnail.
Bro, I hope not. I don't want to be.
Now you're bringing it up again. Come on, you guys are the 6-7 guys.
We are, and that's unfortunate. It's
Anyway,
I don't know. Yeah, back on the deck. Back to the deck.
Yeah, so it was a really, really cool take on water, not a version I had seen before. This is the epitome of just going as low cost as possible, as fast as possible with a water deck that we've seen. I think every attacker on here, unless you end up attacking with the Inteleon or just the Inteleon, it only takes 1 energy. So you got the Palafin up there doing 130 for 1. You got the Basculegion having a revenge attack for 1, Misty Starmie, and then you also have the seaweed guy. What's his name? Tortuga.
Yeah, Tortuga. I love Tortuga. He's kind of fun.
He's busted. So just as low to the ground as possible, making up some damage with the quick shooting Inteleon and the Greninja and Frogadier to ping some extra damage on. Yeah, quick shooting Inteleon. I never would have thought it would make top 8, let alone a finals at a 3K. I've been a quick shooting Inteleon hater for a long time. I've said in the Discord to people that it's probably the worst card for GLC ever just because the Shady Dealings ones exist. So there's therefore never a reason to play quick shooting. And I have to eat my words because it makes it makes some sense in this deck. And definitely, I've since put this deck together, played some games with it, and those pings end up mattering. And I don't know how, but the deck functions.
Yeah, they do. Buddy who plays free water and plays that quick shooting Inteleon, and also this Greninja and stuff. And I have to take out one of them quickly, or else it starts stacking up real quick. Because in GLC, if you don't take care of those little things that are doing something every turn, it's going to stack up real quick over 2, 3, 4 turns.
Yeah, you could sneak in some extra prizes if you're pinging lower HP guys on the bench, or if you need to, get some extra damage on the active to deal with a threat. But yeah, Austin, congrats. I was sat next to him throughout a lot of the day at the top tables. So I saw some of his games play out. Didn't get a chance to pair into him, but I think I heard him say that like this was his response to fighting. That just kind of try and meet the aggressiveness of fighting with your own aggression. And if you can respond quickly to their one energy attackers, you might outpace them because eventually they got to power up a guy with 2 energy or 3 energy with the Blood Moon and the Dogi and stuff. So, and you have the 1-hit KO potential later in the game with the Tortuga as well. So yeah, really, really cool from Austin to see this innovation of a water deck. If you're looking for alternative ways to play water, this is a great list to start from. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love this list too. I mean, for like a lot of different reasons too. It's kind of crazy. Like Silent Lab is obviously a tech in there, probably looking at the Okie dokie because, you do miss a couple of numbers here, even if you have the Inteleon and Greninja helping you out. So getting those basics back down and also just shutting off Fighting's, draw engine now that they're so reliant on that Lunatone and Solrock combination is really cool. And then my favorite setup combo. And I know that people are probably sick of me talking about it. And Ben left it for me. I know he did on purpose. We're talking Ball Guy Abercore Maker, baby. I mean, you got so many balls in this deck. You got to love it. I mean, Nest Ball, Level Ball, you got Die Ball, Quick Ball, you got Team Aqua Great Ball, which is just going to get you an energy in this deck, but it just seems like a great flexible option. And this deck is really reliant on evolutions too. So this is what I'm always talking about. I want my setup cards to be flexible, which is why I hate Arezu and Don, but it's why I like the Apricorn Ball Guy combo here. And I think it's good in this deck, specifically because you are getting that extra Team Aqua's Great Ball in the mix. Something else that was really surprising to me, I thought the energy count was pretty low. There's 5 basics, and then there's, the 1 splash energy here. And then when I was looking back through the list, I didn't see Aqua Patch, and I didn't see Raihan in here too. So, finding the energy might be an issue, especially, there's just Capacious Bucket and Earthen Vessel not going with the third one, Professor's Letter there. So I was wondering if energy was an issue. So even though we mentioned that the Frigadier had to go from the list, I wonder if adding in an extra energy might have actually been beneficial in some capacity. But again, I wasn't there, wasn't playing the deck. Only Austin would know. And even then, who knows what percentage points it mattered.
Yeah. I think it definitely relies on finding energy early with those search cards and then utilizing both. That's why I placed the 2 recovery supporters in Nessa and Clara, because you want to reestablish your stage 1 attackers as soon as possible, as well as hopefully get back an energy or 2 to be attacking and pinging with the Greninja that discards an energy. So most water decks would only just play Nessa and then maybe Versus Seeker for it later if you need to, but going all in on both, recognizing that you just want to get back those Pokemon as soon as possible and get back that energy as soon as possible with those low counts. So
yeah. Another reason why Night Stretcher is so good in this list too is grab back 1 energy and get going.
Yeah,
definitely interesting way to respond to fighting by saying, hey, I'm going to match your basics with my stage 1s, which is like low profile stage 1s.
Yeah,
but
and it's got the rough season there to help with the Ting-Lu spread if fighting does decide to go that way.
Fiona is also pretty sweet too when you think about pushing a Marsh out of the active, right? Like all of a sudden it's invincible. Don't matter. Goodbye.
Yeah. I like that too as well.
Yeah.
Or like Apricorn Baker because he be cooking.
Yep, 6-7.
My mind is blown. You guys are both doing everything I love right now.
What's that all about?
Don't ask.
Ben is now the 6-7 guy. No remorse.
Yeah. We got our champion here, first place. We got Hector Ibarra with a psychic list. And, a lot of these psychic lists have some very, we get a lot of new purple cards coming in and out. It's like the most fluctuating deck ever, right? There's always new cards being printed. There's never the same psychic deck necessarily whenever it comes to these things. Although there's so many different archetypes, you'll have some very similar ones, but there will be a card or two off. This one specifically right here, Jeff and I were kind of talking about this beforehand. We see Mystery Garden and Strange Timepiece, two newish cards that we haven't necessarily saw. And in the past, we've seen some people not necessarily like Mystery Garden as much just because it may not have helped them as much. But I heard that in this instance, Mystery Garden did help out quite a bit. And the Strange Timepiece, just another way to devolve some of your Pokemon. But I think, isn't it a little bit more flexible and not having to take all of it off? It's just, you could take one or two of the
Well, it's more,
stages off
yeah, it's
as
more
opposed to all
flexible.
the stages off.
Yeah, it's more flexible than the previous ones in that you can go all the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
Before, you usually just take the
Yeah.
top card, but if you're a stage 2, you can go all the way back to the basic with it. Not that I think that's how Hector was using it at all. But yeah, you could throw the evolution spray in place of the psychic timepiece here and achieve the same thing. But yeah, it is one of those newer cards. He is mainly using it for the Natu with the ancient trait that allows it to take 2 prizes when it takes a knockout. So pairing that Natu with the TM Blindside and the pings from Giratina, Monkey Dory, or Bocephalon, you're almost always going to have someone damaged on their side of the board. And it's as easy as powering 3 energy onto your Xatu and finding the timepiece and get to take 2 whole prizes with that guy to either catch up or end the game, which we saw Hector do many times on stream. Hector was my top 8 opponent who I lost to, and he just kind of bodied me. My psychic deck was is just very straightforward, dry psychic. Not really any tricks to it. I was just like, I'm gonna play the most consistent, straightforward psychic list, and it served me well up until top 8. But I couldn't keep up with the tricks that Hector had up his sleeve. So, really awesome deck that he brought and took home the championship with. It just synergized really well when I watched it play. Right in front of me, I was like, man, he's cooking every time. He's always finding what he needs. One notable change from a lot of psychic decks is he plays the Shining Arcana Gardevoir over the more recently popular Gallade. And Shining Arcana just says draw 2 cards. If they're basic energy, you can attach them to your Pokemon. Was popular in standard in Guardy decks when it was legal. But yeah, he's opting as opposed to the Gallade, which just searches out the exact supporter you want. He's opting to just draw more cards on his turn and build a bigger hand, and then use the options available to him. So that allows for these more complicated combo pieces to come together because he's not just searching out one specific card; he's just drawing more cards. So his hand was always so much bigger than mine. He just had a lot more options available to him, even when I would get Gallade up, which I was only able to do for a couple turns. My deck was also kind of going a little slow in the games we played, but I was just like, even though I have Gallade, searching one supporter here doesn't really solve any of my issues right now. Like he has too much available to him at this point, and I just couldn't keep up. So yeah, really, really cool deck from Hector.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this deck, and I'm just have to talk about what you said on an earlier episode, Ben. Let's see how many episodes I can recall as we talk through this deck list. But, Ben, when we talked about the first, I think, 1K that you ended up winning with Colorless, when we talked about a Monkey Dory list that showed up, you were like, yeah, these lists are really cool. They're really powerful, but they do that at the cost of consistency. And so you're looking here, and you're looking at all the combo pieces that are involved between the blind side you're playing, the Strange Timepiece, which isn't necessarily going to be a card that's live at all options, and you're saying, well, hey, those cards could be other cards that could definitely get you into different spots that not necessarily useful in any moment in the game. The same thing is like Blacephalon here, which is really only good on the 3 prize turn. So this deck has a lot of powerful cards, but is it the most consistent list? And obviously Hector did a great job of playing to what he needed to do and obviously to win this. So that's our first statement I'll say about this deck. A lot of combos, love it, but again, at the cost of consistency a bit.
I'll push back a little bit and say that with the new cards that have been released, like the mysterious patch, or what's it called? Wondrous patch. That was new. That is honestly every single Psychic deck in top 8 played this card. It seems inconsequential because Psychic has so many accelerating pieces already, but it definitely boosts the type. And then the other thing is the Shining Arcana Guard for itself. I think, along with the Mystery Garden, Hector was just finding ways to just keep increasing his hand size and find, more often find the dark energy for the Monkey Dory and find the TM Blindside and the, timepiece in the same turn and still be able to play a different supportive return. So I think moving away from the Gallade alongside new cards like Wondrous Patch and Mystery Garden have allowed the deck to see more success than in the past. So it's still, I haven't played with the deck yet. I still not sure if, Monkey is a big commitment and has always been my complaint with the Monkey, is that it's a big commitment for, a couple extra damage counters. And the synergy in Nectar's list makes sense to fit the Monkey in. But yeah, it does. I think it will come back to bite you in some games, I'm sure,
No, for sure. And you mentioned like the Wondrous Patch, like that's just such a good card to have. I'm so happy that Psychic got that. Although I think some people are groaning a bit here. Like I hope that at some point every single type has a patch, has an Irida, has a Nessa type card, and we'll see some balance among them all. But as far as now, Psychic getting one is pretty cool. Recalling another episode, we just talked about power creep in Gym Leader Challenge, and here we are looking at boom. I mean, you got Blacephalon and you got Giratina, like cards that have been around since basically the start of Gym Leader Challenge. I mean, it's been power creep, but there are still cards that are going strong from those early sets. And those are just two of them to talk about. Then going back to our set review, Josh, we see Zacian right here, Zacian, however you want to pronounce it. We didn't know where people would be on Zacian versus Mewtwo. And obviously, Ben, I saw where you fell. We'll wait to talk about it on your list. But it's cool to see Hector going with Zacian here on his list. 2 energy. If your opponent has 3 or fewer prizes, it hits 90 plus. Is it 40 more or is it 50 more?
It's like more.
It hits 140 in total, right? So
it's 60 or no. It's base 50 plus 90.
Plus 90. Okay. Yeah. So really cool to see that. And then that's 3 episodes that I've talked about that we've done that all tie into what Hector's doing. So yeah, it's a cool list. I love this list. The only thing I'll say that surprises me, and I have to mention, the way that Hector won was a blindside KO. It was awesome. You're sitting there, you're watching the finals match. So go check out the Tricky Gym stream if you haven't. But you're watching the finals match. He's like got some damage counters on the board. He uses Monkey Dory to push it over. He promotes not to. I think he uses a couple of different ways to accelerate energy. One of them might have been Wondrous Patch. I can't remember exactly, but he's getting 3 energy on not to in a turn. He's like, boom, gotcha, win the game. And you're just like, that's why we watch GLC. That's why we want to play the game, because that's like the coolest thing that you get to see is that not to KO. And then, besides that, the one thing I'm looking at the list is I'm like, I kind of want a Rainbow Energy in this list. I don't know if I'm crazy for it, but, obviously having access to the dark from the Rainbow Energy and the damage that it puts onto the board, that 10 damage might matter for a not to play. But that was just something that I was kind of looking at in this list and being like, I wonder if Rainbow Energy popped into his head, especially with Guzma and Hala as an option to go grab it. But obviously the list is just superb and super tight, so I get omitting it, but just something I thought of. Awesome list. Congrats, Hector. Good job.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah, very well played. We got next, 3rd place, Nolan Freda or Freda. Hopefully I got that right. Water hydro pump. We got them. We got the big boys. And, honestly, hydro pump, don't mess with it, right? It's usually always the same, give or take a few cards. In this list specifically, I see energy retrieval. That's something I don't necessarily see a lot. Definitely uncommon, but definitely you'll see it from time to time. We got super energy retrieval as well, and Nessa. So you have all these different ways to get those cards back. Sometimes you'll see a Space Beacon. Well, he just got a new
Starmie.
Mega Evolution. Starmie, yes. I love Space Beacon Starmie. It's one of those easy, like, discard, get 2 out of the discard, but, we got easy ways to get them back out of the discard just through item heavy decks. And just your good hydro pump list, man. I don't know what else to say about it. We've said so much about hydro pump lists over the years at this point, right? And it hasn't really changed besides the whale necessarily and a Bax Caliber, right? So
isn't that exactly Trevor's list too that we talked about like the last 2 times?
Yeah.
I mean,
It is.
There's not a whole lot you can sell.
It is. Yeah, Trevor got top 8 last 2 times with a hydro pump deck. This is, the same 60 from the last one. Trevor unfortunately didn't make it out to this 3K to maintain his streak, but Nolan took that on in spirit and had the power of Trevor behind him to get top 8 with this list. It's just no nonsense. Hydro pump, really strong. Whale Lord, still very hard to deal with for a lot of decks. So can't go wrong.
Yeah.
This was Lily's Determination in the list last time. Was it the new one from the last time?
Yeah, Lily's was there last time.
Didn't Trevor have to borrow one from you, Ben? If I'm not mistaken.
He did.
We know. See, we wouldn't get this. We wouldn't get this type of insight without Ben. we got BTS behind the scenes stuff going on here. Yes, I know he put Lily's in that deck because I gave it to him.
That's right. And then he beat me with it. And then Nolan beat me.
Did you make him sign?
I cannot beat Trevor's hydro pump list. It's crazy. I lost. It haunts me. I was like, Trevor's beat me at the last 2 3Ks. And I'm like, oh, he's not here. I don't have to lose to him this time. And then I literally lost to him again, even though he wasn't there.
If I'm a psychic player and I'm standing across from this water list, I'm scared, right? Like, I think that this water list is the hardest thing for the psychic list to deal with, which is why if I had to pick between water and psychic, I'd probably go with the water list, to be honest. But I do think that, one of the things, I don't know if Hector ended up playing Nolan at some point, but like the blindside play does give you a lot of play into the style of deck, whether, Basculin with 50 HP is just sitting there on the battlefield after a couple turns because it got retreated, or whether or not you can, hit into, a Lapras, which is a little tinier, or even just the Frostmoth and Octillery, which sit there at 90 HP. So, that not to blindside play is what gives me hope in this matchup. So it's cool to see that. And going back to the power creep episode, I mean, this deck is on full display on both ends of the spectrum. You've got Lapras and you've got, Scatter, Wishy-Washy, who've been staples of this format for so long and very powerful cards. And then you've got the new Kyogre and you got the new Whale Lord, which are just 2 recent cards that have, cemented themselves as powerhouses. You have to deal with cards in this format. So this is just a really interesting look at all the things. And then the last thing I'll say that we've probably said before, Josh mentioned energy retrieval. You got superior energy retrieval. You've got Nessa. I mean, you've got all 3 ways to search out energy. This deck is just all about get that energy to hand. And it's cool to see. So classic hydro pump list. It's so boring to talk about now, right? Just because it's so good. And all these other lists were like, check out what these cool ones are doing. But like, I mean, good old Bessie here just doing the thing.
Water has archetypes, but it has 2 main archetypes that you see a lot. And then you have, like we saw in Runner Up, where it's a slightly different. We've seen before. I'm putting Jeff to sleep now.
Talk about water boring hydro. But Halipin,
his psychic is beyond blessed, bro. It's got everything, dude.
Yep.
All right, moving on to 4th place. Speaking of, we got Psychic. 4th place, Dylan Ryan. And I don't see the new Zacian, but I do see a Mewtwo. So deciding to play, with the Mewtwo over the Zacian, maybe that was a question when going into this, possibly, because we do see Wondrous Patch. So thinking of, new cards being put in. Wondrous Patch is just one of those cards that we have Aqua Patch, Wonders Patch, Dark Patch, Metal Saucer, and usually you'll see those be put into the deck. We didn't see that in the runner-up list today, but it's just one of those cards that is always a 99% auto include, because getting extra energy in a turn is so helpful. And just now, back in the day, nowadays, it's always going to be super helpful. And then we see, what else do we see here? You guys look for stuff. We can see Tropical Beach. And I know that there was some decision there.
The big thing with Dylan's list that would differentiate it from the other Psychic decks is the Dusknor in place of the Xatu. So cut the bench space of Xatu for the aggressiveness and the flexibility that Dusknor brings to the table. So yeah, Dylan is a full grip local, great player, both standard and GLC. This is the Dwixty, as it has been dubbed. His username is Dweesh, and this is the Dweesh 60, the Dwixty. It actually also won Full Grip Games Locals last week, this exact 60, so has proven itself for a couple events now. Dusknor still being a very powerful option. Just gives you so much control over the board state if you're able to get it into play. If you think about it, if you parallel down to 3 on your opponent's side, blow something up with Dusknor down to 2 on the bench, and then swing with the active for a knockout, your opponent went from 6 Pokemon in play to 2 Pokemon in play. So yeah, 1 on the bench, then 1 on that they promote. So the control over the board is crazy with the Dusknor. So Dylan, despite a lot of us at Full Grip going in a different direction away from the Dusknor, Dylan sticking to his guts and playing this list that he kicked up to great success. Ended up losing to Austin with the low-cost water deck in a crazy top 4 match. Game 3, it went to time, and Dylan had game on board if Austin was not able to take a knockout. Austin had put 40 damage on a Mimikyu, had none of his stage 1 attackers set up, 30 HP left on the Mimikyu. He has Guzma in hand, so he plays Guzma up to bring up the Mimikyu, attaches a muscle band to his Fion, and has to draw an energy off of his 3 cards with Octillery, and finds a Night Stretcher for the game. So it's like this crazy end game play that just fell into his lap, and really creative play from Austin to even see that line of taking a knockout with the 10 damage splash of Fion with a muscle band. It was absolutely insane. Dylan got his top 4 robbed from him in that moment. But Austin had to work for it for sure. But yeah, so
Splash.
It was crazy, man. I was shocked.
That's why we play the game.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, solid deck from Dylan. Going the Dusknor route. I would also recommend this deck if you wanted to try out the Dusknor version. Dusknor obviously extremely powerful in standard, as it is here in GLC. Tropical Beach, when you play the Guzma Hala, it's just a great card to help you at the beginning of the game. You Guzma Hala, capture energy for something, fill your hand to 7. What more do you want to do as Psychic on turn 1?
Yeah, you mentioned the Dusknor line. Duskull Future Sight attack has also helped me a few times, either set myself up or not help, or delay my opponent a little bit, which is kind of fun to do. Actually.
Absolutely.
Well, rest in peace, Cleffa. It seems like having a 30 HP basic is no longer what we want to be doing at all. Thank you, our fighting overlord Ting Lu. So yeah, Tropical Beach makes a lot of sense in that case if you're looking for that early draw. And Guzma Hall is a staple anyway. Why not play it, especially when you've got a card as good as Necrozma and obviously Iron Boulder in here doing work. This Cresselia, I don't know if we want to talk about it now or if we want to wait till we get to Ben's list, but this Cresselia is super sweet. We'll talk about it when we get to Ben's list. We'll hear Ben's list because I'm sure that he and Dylan were talking about this. Wonders Patch again, just bringing that up in this list seems so strong. Wob still seems really good in this list. And here we've got Gallade. I mean, this list is just so good. Cut and dry. Good list.
Next up, we got another psychic list. We got 5th place Ryan Uggins. And in this list, we see the return of Xatu being able to get some energy out on the field a little bit earlier. You get Gengar as well. Little loved to Gengar. We haven't saw Gengar too much lately, but this Gengar has the ability from the discard pile. You can put 3 damage counters on it if you bring it out. And then for one energy has what mean look, and what exactly does it do? Does it do like 20 damage for how many damage counters it has on there? I can't remember what it does.
No, it does 20 for each of your opponent's bench, so it can do up to 100.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yeah, and its damage counters also. So it's won't hit for weakness, but yeah, as a easily powered up guy that also activates your Monkey Dory, it's a good move. So
yes,
that's his main function there, is to get damage on the board for the Monkey Dory, as well as being a quick attack with it being a 1 energy guy. So yeah, just a very straightforward Monkey Dory list. This is, if I went max consistency and straight psychic, this is like max consistency Monkey Dory psychic. No funny business of not to blindside in this deck. It's just, all the strong psychic cards with a light Monkey Dory package. Did play the bench barrier as well in response to that Ting-Lu. So even if they get through your bench barrier with the Silent Lab or the Hex Maniac, the Monkey Dory there is also there to clean up that damage as well. So probably was very strong into any fighting deck that wanted to go the Ting-Lu route. And yeah, getting your attacks off with Mimikyu, Boulder, and Giratina. No Zacian or Mewtwo in this list. Just said, I want to attack when I want to attack, and I'm not going to let the prize cards limit
to
me.
the mid game to attack.
That's right.
Yeah, this list is super cool. I mean, obviously, you mentioned the Gengar and how the Gengar and Monkey Dory synergize. Obviously, getting those 3 damage counters and then being able to immediately ship them with the Monkey Dory if it has a Dark Energy attach is really cool. Some interesting decisions again. No U-turn board, which when you have Monkey Dory or you have the Mysterious Tail Mew, is usually a card I see auto included here, but you do see Bird Keeper getting included, which is something you don't see a lot of in Psychic lists, but obviously it's a card I love, and obviously having a switch that also draws you cards is really good and useful, so I don't think anyone would fault anyone for ever including that card in their list. Clara, but I don't see a Tulip. So I don't know if that was just decision or if maybe Tulip wasn't a card to have access to, but it's something cool to think of. And again, no Rainbow Energy in the energy spread, but it just seems like most people don't agree with me that maybe Rainbow Energy isn't included in these Monkey Dory lists. And again, there's no Guzma Hala, so less ability to search it out in this list. I don't even know if there is a way to search out special energy in this list, not from what I'm seeing. But again, this deck is strong, it's powerful. We've seen it do good work. So take all the things I'm saying with a grain of salt. They're just observations I have. No criticisms whatsoever. I think this list is sweet.
Yeah. Now you got Raihan there for the special energy if you need it, I guess, but probably opting to just draw into it. And then, the choice for Clara over Tulip is, sorry if I zoned out when you mentioned it, but it's for the ability to get the dark energies back.
Oh, okay. Because
Tulip
only psychic. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that was probably the thought process there. Just a little more flexibility on the basic darks there. So
yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And not to add anything to the conversation, but it was so some of these were so blurry. I was like, man, what is this Fisherman's Letter here? I've never heard of that card. So I'm over here like PKMN, .cards or whatever. Looking at, I can't find Fisherman's Letter. And I'm an idiot. It's Professor's Letter.
Sorry, math and looking. Josh's not strong suits.
Reading.
I am missing my glasses. That's what's different right now. I am missing my glasses.
Sorry, I think every single Yeah, we'll talk about my list now. But every single psychic
Don't
deck
even-
notably yap session. Everybody start your clocks.
Oh yeah, before you yap, Jeff earlier said goodbye Cleffa or something. And we see Cleffa right here. So I think Ben might take this personally.
That's right. I'm a Cleffa believer still. But what I was gonna say is the one common thread through all of these psychic decks is, I mean, besides Iron Boulder, which is just busted attacker, I think Iron Boulder, Malamar, and Mysterious Tail Mew are the only psychic Pokemon that were present in each of these lists.
Kirlia
So-
as well. I mean, not Gallade.
Curly,
At least Kirlia.
okay, Curlia, yes. Yeah, Gallade, Curlia, Malamar. What else did I say? Mysterious Tail Mew and Iron Boulder. Yeah,
Yeah, we see
Mysterious
Wob
Tail
too.
Mew is so good. Now, Wob was not in Hector's list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Hector didn't play any disruption Pokemon like that. No Frillish, no Wob.
Any psychic energy, basic psychic energy.
Yeah, throw it on the capture.
I said Pokemon. I said Pokemon. But yeah, so Mysterious Tail Mew, I do want to highlight just briefly of how good of a card that is for Psychic, especially with new item cards like that Mysterious Patch, or Wondrous Patch, sorry. Just to look at the top 6 of your deck and take any item when there's so many good broken items. And you just toss a retreat tool on that, and it just will help you throughout the game. Will very rarely be targeted. There's usually something else worth targeting on your board for your opponent to deal with, be it any of your energy accelerators or your Curlia. So yeah, it's just a very safe, strong consistency engine that seems like almost every Psychic deck is playing these days. But yeah, so this is the list I ended up playing alongside a few other Full Grip locals. Switched off the Garbodor. The Garbodor was not cutting it against the fighting deck.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
It was a little too slow out the gate to finally make a big enough impact. The games were just still back and forth. And though Garbodor, I still love the deck. It was still really fun to play. I was like, I'm just gonna go with a more consistent psychic route and maybe a little quicker in response to these aggro decks. So that's the list I landed on. I won't yap about everything. It is very straightforward. Which you briefly touched on. One thing I'll talk about is the Cresselia. That functioned as our bench barrier. And it doesn't protect from snipe attacks like Kyogre. But that was a worthwhile trade, in my opinion, because, Kyogre should take a knockout either way. So you're still going like 1-for-1 into any snipe attacks like that. So like bench barrier is just kind of taking up space at that point. Where the psychic deck kind of falls apart into the fighting deck is if they do manage to take multiple prizes in a turn. It's very hard to come back from and rebuild from, and fighting has the tools to get around bench barrier to deal with that. So our thought process was that Cresselia is a glorified bench barrier that also functions as an attacker into a lot of these matchups. So they choose to go in with Ting Lu. You can move that damage back over to their side of the board. And whether or not you end up taking a knockout with that damage, let's say you're only putting 60 damage onto their Lunatone or something, that's totally fine by me because you're preventing a multi-prize turn. You're forcing them to use their resources. They're discarding their own stadiums probably with Ting Lu. And now you have Cresselia sitting in their active with a 3 retreat Ting Lu in their active and being like, go ahead and spread again and then I'll take a knockout, It like puts pressure back on their side, buys you a little time to set up your board more. And it's just a functional way of saying like, I'm going to ignore the Ting Lu damage altogether, like kind of negate that strategy. So it's not it doesn't necessarily like destroy Tinglu in any way. It's like because you can't knock out the Tinglu back, but to function mostly as a bench barrier and avoid these multi-prize turns, um, as well as be an early game attacker that does 110 damage, which is the HP of Soul Rock Lunatone. So taking meaningful knockouts into the fighting deck, it kind of just fit exactly what I was looking for because, like you said, I'm playing the Zacian and the Mewtwo. Those are both later game attackers. And then I have Iron Boulder, which has, its own requirements to attack. So Cresselia was the early game, easy to power up, easy to pull off attacker that can respond to a quick Soul Rock if necessary, as well as negate the Tinglu spread options. So that was why we chose to play it. I thought it filled that role specifically really well. I did use it as an attacker in almost all my games because of the need for an early game attacker outside of Iron Boulder. And there's almost always somebody on board that will die to 110 HP swing. So I was playing 3 gusts in Boss Guzma and Countercatcher. So the Cresselia pulled its weight, I'd say, for the meta that we had. It did end up kind of being a little too weak in the Psychic Mirror against Hector, not being able to knock out his Giratina that was coming back over and over. That did hurt me a little bit. So yeah, that was one downside of the deck. The only other funny, interesting tech card I had in here was Lost City. Again, we were mostly testing against the fighting deck because I honestly thought it was the most played deck. If we don't count the for a specific archetype, it was the most played. If we divide all the psychic decks into their archetypes, RDT specifically was the most played deck in the room. So we tested a lot against that, and just being able to Lost Zone either their Okidogi or one of their rocks and then disrupting the hand kind of shut them down entirely. So that alongside Lost City just being a somewhat decent card into control decks or decks that really rely on one Pokemon to pull off a strategy. So did not come up a ton in a lot of my games. I think I would have been fine without fitting it in the list, but yeah, this was the list I settled on. It was good enough to get me here. I'll say that.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Lost City, so thanks for asking about that. Back when we were doing our set review, I brought up, hey, would somebody think about playing Zacian and you two together? Because they kind of do the same thing and they do pretty well. And I guess, I can't remember if Jeff and I were too sold on it. I think I was more sold on it, but I was like, I think these two cards can coincide together. Can you kind of speak on that a little bit? Were you thinking, okay, this will be something that will help me late game if I kind of fall back with the Cresselia or Cleffa or anything like that?
Yeah, so I just think you get there a lot sooner than you think you do. And you pretty much for every psychic deck, you want to go in early with Iron Boulder, right? If you do go in early with Iron Boulder before they take a knockout, you're probably winning that game anyways. You're going to have your board set up because they have to deal with the Boulder. Let's say they knock out one of your low HP guys and then you respond with Boulder. They're already down to 5 prizes, right? And you're swinging with Boulder. They knock out the Boulder, they go down to 4. On that turn, you play Tulip or Night Stretcher, use Boulder again. They knock it out again. Now you have Mewtwo and Zacian for the rest of the game. It's like that happens that quick. It's really easy to find those paths with the Psychic deck, especially with Gallade and Xatu. So I did not outside of the low damage output of Cresselia in my match against Hector, I did not feel the pain of having only Iron Boulder early game to do more damage, if that makes sense. It was I in every other match I just was able to kind of route it smoothly enough even with using Cresselia as an attacker, where, I'd set up my board and then, start powering up Mewtwo or Zacian on their 5 or 4 prize turn and just go off to the races there. So, yeah, I don't think anyone has to play both. I think anyone has to play any of them. That's the thing with Psychic. Like, all 4 of these lists are like so completely valid in their own way. I would venture to say mine is probably the weakest of the 4, just because it has kind of no funny tricks to sneak ahead in like a close game. It doesn't have the Dusknoir, it doesn't have the Monkey Dory, it doesn't have the Natu. It really relies on Disruption and Hex to make any comebacks, as well as the Fighting Fury Belt and the Lux Cape. So those were my like comeback cards of Lux Cape and Fury Belt, which are really good cards, I'd say. But yeah, like I think if I was to run it back again, I would probably play Hector's list, not just because it won, but just because it kind of feels like it has everything right now that you might need. Can do everything, and it also looks really cool while it does it. So yeah, this is like if someone was just getting into GLC and wanted to play Psychic, maybe start off with a list like this because it's doesn't have these crazy combo pieces or like extra damage counters anywhere. Like every Pokemon has a very clearly defined role of when you want to use it. And that's a good way to like kind of learn and find your way in the format. And so I do like playing lists like this because it allows me to kind of piece together, unique board states as best as I'm able to, like play to my skill level, and try and control the game my way. But yeah, I think when it came to like the top tables, there's definitely a gap in like the power level of the lists themselves. But yeah, it was a solid enough deck. I don't regret playing it. I still love playing Psychic. I would, at this point, probably change a few things. I don't know if I would play both Zacian and Mewtwo. In a room where I played 4 Psychic decks and every other type only once, maybe, I would cut the Wobbuffet. Yeah, the Wobbuffet is like fine. I was debating between Wobbuffet and Frillish. I ended up choosing Wobbuffet. I regret that because I played against so many Psychic decks. Frillish is better into Psychic. Hector opted for none of them, so maybe you don't play either of them.
Maybe you don't.
Yeah, maybe you don't. But yeah.
Cool. Well, Zan, I got what you think. Yeah, 3 questions for you, and you take as much time as you want answering them. First off, no U-turn board. So, obviously, I know you got higher retreat cost in here. Was the thought just that, you've got so many stadiums and tools in here that you're expecting them to field blow or something a little bit more value and leave you with a retreat tool along the way?
Yeah, that's exactly it. You have, like you said, you have a good amount of guys that have multiple retreat costs. So there was multiple times where I would just have to start Zacian or Mewtwo. And if I had drawn into U-turn board instead of Air Balloon, I would have been stuck an extra turn. And yeah, when you have both of them and, as long as you just don't play both of them down at the same time, as long as you only play down like one of them at the same time until they use their field blower, you're totally fine. Like I did not miss the flexibility of U-turn board at all. Yeah, I don't even know. I don't think it really ever came up outside of being more beneficial to me that I had, extra retreat abilities for my heavier guys. So that was the decision there.
All right. And of course, Cleffa. Speak on Cleffa. Obviously, 30 HP feels a little bit like a liability, but obviously you've still opted to go with Cleffa here.
I did. If I ran back the meta this time, I probably wouldn't. I wasn't scared of it for fighting, but I'm more scared of it now because of how popular Monkey Dory was. I think that's much worse for the Cleffa than the Ting-Lu. Because I almost, even if they do knock out Cleffa with Ting-Lu, I almost wanted them to because of how like good the Cresselia would be in the matchup if they did. And giving up one prize, is not the end of the world. So, if I was going against fighting, I wouldn't just bench it unless I had to use Cleffa. And in which case, if you have to use Cleffa, that's how you're staying in the game anyways. So that's like the thought process. It's like, obviously don't bench Cleffa if you don't have to. But if you do have to, you're going to be really glad you had it.
Yeah. And then last one here, Mimic You. I mean, I know I just said rest in peace, Cleffa. Rest in peace, Mimic You time. I mean, it's not on your list. I'm surprised by it. But
no, that was the 61st card. I was between Mimic You and Battle VIP Pass. I was under the impression that you have enough attackers, and you do. I did not run out of attackers, even with Lost City. I was not short on attackers, and Mimic You is so bad into water and into fighting. And when I expected a lot of fighting and probably one or two water in my field, it just kind of felt like a wasted space. I have a lot of good starters in the deck in Wobbuffet, Cleffa, and Mew. So Mimikyu is just another basic that I didn't really want to start or to use at all in those matchups. It's only good into water if they choose to attack with Kyogre, and all the water guys are expecting that anyways, so it doesn't even come up that super often unless they have to. So yeah, it would have helped in the Psychic Mirrors. Again, I think I underestimated how many dang Psychic Mirrors I was going to play. So Wobbuffet could instantly get cut for Mimikyu, and it would improve your matchup into Psychic. So,
all right, cool. Well, thanks for answering my question. That's all I got. I mean, good.
One last thing I got, since you're here, since we got you. Jeff and I were talking about, I think in the Power Creep episode, about draw cards and some of the draw cards just becoming more powerful, like Lily's Determination and stuff. But another thing that we brought up was we used to play, 5 to 7, draw support cards. And you're kind of there right now. And nowadays you kind of see 4 or 5 instead. What kind of brought you to play so much draw? I know that you want to play some of these to kind of handle the deck, but we don't really see professors research too much in this type of setting.
Yeah, I've said it before. People are too afraid of research. Like, you can discard stuff and you'll be fine.
I've only got one copy, Ben. I've only got one copy.
Not even true. You have Versus Seeker. You have all these recovery cards. Like,
they're in my hand. They're in my hand.
Yeah, no, it's really not that bad. In fact, it's almost beneficial sometimes to get rid of the clutter.
Yeah. Yeah.
That being said, it's definitely
agree.
Yeah. That being said, it's definitely of the draw cards I have, it would be the first one I cut if I needed something else. Because I really wanted to play all of since I'm relying so much on Iron Boulder early game, more than other Psychic decks because I don't really have a good opening attacker besides him. I wanted all of those matching cards with Iono, Judge, Marnie, and N. And then Lily's is just obviously a no-brainer. And then from there, I thought I covered enough bases with my other supporters that I was like, Research is just a really good, solid draw card that I honestly would not be too sad to see. And I honestly really love Research in Gallade decks because there are plenty of times where you'll get down to a 1 or 2 card hand and just be like, I don't really need anything specific, but why not just see a fresh new 7? Like, that seems pretty busted. So go search him out. Yeah, go search him out with Gallade and just keep moving forward. So yeah, I think this is a good amount of draw cards to have.
I don't disagree at all. And I know that I've kind of went that way myself where now I think I'm down to 4, but I used to have 7, and I could not imagine a world where I'd have less than 7 draw, but now I'm down to 4. So I don't know what happened.
Search cards are too good, dude. Go get the exact card you need. The exact card you need is better than 5 randoms.
I disagree. I disagree. Going
I like
below
them. I
five
like
draw
them all.
supporters, five draw supporters in any deck, it's just crazy to me. I'm not there yet. Like
I,
it functions, of course, but you're just asking for trouble sometimes.
I'm always asking for trouble.
Jeff Treble Baisch.
That's what they call me. That's why I'm a vegetarian teacher. Let's go.
Hey, we got out of the 2 metal decks that were played out of the 78 players, we have Consiglio Roselli, or is it Roselli, Jeff?
I think this is not a Spanish name.
Yeah, well, I just want to make sure. I want to cover my
I
base.
think it's Italian. I don't know. What
Right.
about the Contiglia?
Yes, I know. But we have this metal deck right here. I've always been, I know I haven't played in Galarian Berserker and GLC too much. I used to in Standard, and I was a big fan of it, so I can understand why we play it now. And we have our usual count of Bronzong, Zamazenta, Heatran with the fire energy, kind of get that going. That's going to be like one of your main attackers. Iron Crown is also a new-ish card that's been a wonderful addition to low attack metal decks. And it's just been really cool to kind of see this card flourish a little bit more. Kind of keeps your opponent thinking, hey, maybe I shouldn't overbench here because they're going to be able to possibly knock out what I have in the active, depending on whether that's important or not. And, it kind of gets your opponent thinking a little bit. But something that is so interesting, and I think that, not just us on the podcast and not and any viewer here, this Orthworm. I believe this Orthworm hits for 240, or is it hit for 240, and then you have to have 3 or less cards left in your deck.
Yeah,
And we've
90
seen
plus
cards in the
150.
past. Yeah, we've seen cards in the past do some cool things, like the Grass Snail, right? Where it can hit for, I think it hits the active and then 2 on the bench with 3 or few less cards in your deck. And even that is kind of asking for it right. You have to time it just right, perfectly. And Grass kind of has a little bit of a way to make that happen. And then in Metal, it's just, it's harder to do that in Metal. And Metal sometimes doesn't even, Metal for me, as much as I've wanted Metal to work for me, it just never has it. I feel like I'm always playing from 5 turns behind my opponent. It really stinks because I love Metagross. Metagross is my favorite. He's my number 1, but I just can't seem to get there. And Earthworm, you're going to be able to hit 90 at any point. But if you're playing this one, you're most likely trying to do that 240 and then, at the end of the game. So I don't know about you guys, but that is asking for it. But I tell you what, 7th place out of 78 with Metal against Fighting, against Psych, against Water, something happened. And I think it was the miracle on 31st Street or 32nd Street or whatever that street is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think he played the lotto and it rolled in his favor for sure. Yeah, I didn't see this deck get played at all. I know it did go on stream one game. It might have been a game he ended up losing, unfortunately. But yeah, I think I saw this person in Discord just saying they just went full power, disregard anything else. We're just gonna go. Let's try and make when it gets pulled off. Let's try and make the most powerful metal deck possible. And swinging for 240 with a basic Pokemon is definitely accomplishing that goal. You have other great basic attackers in the Heatran and the Zamazenta. Zamazenta being amazing as always. Going with the Pokestop engine to help get to that bottom of the deck, playing a lot of great metal cards, items and things like that to help. Berserker to boost the damage, of course. Got the new Iron Defender item card in there, which is just a blanket minus 30 damage from any attack on your opponent's board. So boosts Zamazenta's survivability a lot just on one turn with that item card. Metal has the tools to be good, and I've talked about this with Mahone and stuff, and he's said like it just feels like metal's like the next type that needs like just one or two more things to like push it up in the board there. And yeah, it was with attackers like Zamazenta, it has the super strong basic attacker it needs to be keeping up with the others ones in the format. It's got the acceleration in the Anzong and the Matang. It's got the survivability with these tools and item cards. It's got like almost all the pieces you need to make an amazing DLC deck. And Consiglio made it work this time at the 3K, being one of two brave people to play metal to the tournament. So yeah, very huge congrats to pull it off. It's a feat in and of itself to make top 8 with a metal deck in the current format. So yeah, not for the faint of heart. I imagine it's difficult to get to those bottom 3 cards. Yeah, it's like you're playing a fun puzzle with yourself.
Yeah, I'd like to know how many times throughout the day Earthworm made that game-winning attack, and
Because there was a one
definitely a curiosity there. If it happened once,
Yeah, I mean, it's like this happening once. I mean, like when you look at like the deck and what it's trying to do, and like where metal is at, like as far as like consistency pieces, not even running the Rev Room to draw more cards, right? Like it's kind of crazy to me to think about how you could get to the bottom of the deck, and obviously Pokestop goes a long, long way in doing that, especially if you can use it for multiple turns. But man, can't imagine it. But the good news is Zamazenta plus Muscle Band hits that 240 magic number if you are going up against a whale. So like multiple ways to hit 240. Never a bad thing. So maybe you just recur a whole bunch of Zamazentas, hope to maybe get to that Earthworm. But I kind of think that, now that, you and Ben have talked about the list a little bit, I'm kind of wondering how often just like Heatran's Guard Claw or even the Earthworm's first attack that's 20 and draw 2 cards, either boosted with Berserker or Muscle Band or Fighting Fury Belt, was maybe able to like go in and clean up a KO and then soak up another attack. And I'm wondering if these like incremental advantages over time like maybe just led to this amazing run that Consiglio had. And so that's something that I was kind of eyeing. It's just like, a lot of these other attacks are quite useful,
Yeah.
And then not enough can be said about Iron Crown. I mean, that card is kind of a card that's like, it's been on the radar of people that have loved metal, but like if you haven't been consistently playing against metal, that card can be a bit of a nightmare, especially if you're going into a setup field. It can change how people bench against you. And even then, like if you're doing that, you're gaining some sort of advantage. So it's just like this feels like a weird tempo deck. You're just gaining all this weird incremental advantage across the board. And, I'm surprised that it did well, but I'm happy it did.
Yeah. Now I think he knows his deck inside out, cooked it up. Probably has a lot of fun plays to go for, different strategies. You probably do go early with the Earthworm with that draw 2. Turn 1, just do draw 2, that's going to thin your, if you can do that the first like 3 turns on top of playing supporters, that's going to thin your deck a lot more than you think. It will help to get down to that bottom few cards. And yeah, like you said, Iron Crown can be such a menace if you don't have a response to it right away, especially for like psychic decks. If they go turn 1 or turn 2 Iron Crown, it can spell big damage for your board if you can't respond with an Iron Boulder right away. So yeah, big congrats. And with the boost of Berserker, the 120 damage of Iron Crown is doing so much more. Like it can knock out a Boulder, it can knock out a Tinglu. So yeah, the Berserker, all these pieces have such an important role within the deck to make it work. And it's one of those decks that will definitely, need some reps in before you find the optimal way to play it. And Consiglio was able to do that.
Oh yeah. Very good. Congratulations, Consiglio, on the 7th place finish. And then we have 8th place, Anthony Spenitz with the RDT. The RDT, actually, yeah.
RDT.
Does the R stand for Lucario? The R on Lucario?
So close.
or Ursaluna.
Yeah, no, so we got the RDT, the Rock Dogi Tinglu, famous winner of the last 3K by Chris Hill.
660, right?
I believe it is. I haven't looked too closely at this one, but at first glance, it looks to be the same. It's got the reset stab, it's got the 6 basic energy, the same Pokemon lineup. Yeah, it's just honestly one of the best decks in the format currently. Has a lot of aggressive options with the Solrock and Lunatone to draw 3 cards from the beginning of the game, doing 70 damage without resistance. It's such a menace for so many Psychic decks. If you go in with that Solrock early, if they don't have the text for Tinglu, that can also ruin your day. And even if they don't take multiple prizes of the Tinglu, Blood Moon's coming in late game to swing for 160, 190 damage very easily. It's like there's some games where I play this against this deck and it's like there's nothing I can do. It sets up every time. It goes fast. Every time I disrupt, they have another energy to draw 3 cards and build up to a 10-card hand. Yeah, this deck is just a menace at going quick, making your opponent respond to high HP guys and high damage guys with very little drawback in their own way. So congrats to Anthony for making it through the Psychic Gauntlet with the RDT deck. I'm curious to know how many Psychic he ended up playing against. But yeah, still a very strong deck. If you're picking up fighting, this is probably still the best way to play it.
Yeah, I mean, fighting got 3 brand new cards, and it helped out so much to bump them up on that last set, and it helped them so much that like it brought all these cards together a little bit more. Like you played Ursaluna with some spread decks, right, just to kind of use that as a cleanup later. But now, like you're definitely gonna be able to get that, and it's like every Pokemon in the list is almost an attacker in every way. Somehow it puts damage off somehow. Even the support Pokemon kind of do, and it's just so interesting how just these few cards, and I mean, I say a few. There's 1, 2, there's Finnegan, there's 3, there's like 6 brand new cards that really took it from, low tier to high tier. So it was really quite crazy to see. We think that, fighting just got draw, but no, it got so much more than just that.
I mean, it added on to what it was already doing super well, which was low costed attackers with huge damage, and all of a sudden now there's an extra way to search out that one energy you need for some of your attackers. You got Premium Power Pro, which is just electric power but for fighting Pokemon. Add that to strong energy plus whatever tool you want to attach to it. I mean, damage potential is there, and then the draw was just the cherry on top. And it's really just a choose your own adventure aggro deck, right? Like you can be aggro in so many different ways depending on what your opponent throws at you, whether that's the early Solrock that Ben mentioned, whether you're playing against a setup deck where Tinglu is going to be just a menace, and then of course you're playing into the weakness matchup. Marshadow just basically would sweep any of those types that's weak to fighting, and then of course Okidogi is just a one card win con on its own. I mean, when you get those turn 2 Okidogis going, it is just a brutal massacre. And like I played on the opposite side of that and been like, this Okidogi card might be pretty good.
Oh yeah. So yeah, no, it's got all the tools there for you. Did kind of get a little overshadowed by Psychic at this event, so I am looking forward. I'm not much of a fighting chef myself, so I'm looking forward to seeing what innovations are to be had. We've seen the Psychic innovations to respond to this. Now we need to see the fighting innovations to respond to the Psychic, if there are any. I don't know. Is this still the best deck in fighting can bring to the table against Psychic, or is there something else out there? I know that there's probably some people working on it, and I'm excited to see. Our next 3K is still so far away. Like this is the long break between sets. Like I think we have until like March or April, unfortunately, till the next one. But a lot of time to innovate in there, and Also, I think we'll get 2 new sets of cards before the next 3K, a special set and the full set. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, Anthony, snuck in here as the of the 12 RDT decks, snuck in as the RDT representative, and unfortunately fell in top 8. But huge congrats, big achievement to even get there. Yeah, so it's a very strong, solid deck.
Yeah, it's nice to see that like we've had some strong decks and then we've seen kind of counterplay in the next. Like people are reacting. We're not in a stagnant meta. Things are constantly shifting, whether that was, Whale Lord a couple of the 1Ks or 3Ks ago, and then we got RDT and now we've got Psychic. Like things are shifting, and it's good to see that. That to me is a healthy competitive scene. Obviously we won't talk about balance. That's a bad word when you're talking about competitive stuff, but obviously we have a pretty healthy competitive scene when you have 3 different unique decks winning the last 3 big events of a format. So
the last 4, all 4 were all different types. So really
some
cool to see.
Some there too, right?
That's right. Yeah. So this has been the first full year back of 3Ks, right? Was the first one back the Journey Together one? Or was there one before that?
Because you went with the hop stuff, right? Which would have been Journey Together.
That was in March or April that I won. But was there one right before that? Was there one the previous November? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think the first one back was Journey Together, because that's when the new space opened, which is why we had it.
That's why I have been on. He remembers things.
I know the new space. That was the first one in the new space. Yeah. I don't remember if that was the first one back since COVID or not. But regardless, this is the new era, new space of full group games. 4 3K events, except for the first one, which was a 1K. 4 different types. The meta's constantly evolving, constantly shifting. It's funny that the first thing you mentioned about the meta shifting was Whale Lord, when we've seen the one deck that did not change.
Yes. I mean,
that card changed it.
I know that it changed it from before, but since then, yeah, that's the one deck that's like, who cares what's going on in the meta? I'm just gonna power up this Whale Lord and make you guys figure it out.
That's why I love him. That's why I love the whale.
Oh yeah,
just there. Before we get into there we go. We got the meme. Jeff, explain this meme to us. What does this meme mean?
I actually learned the name of this. You guys all know I learned so much doing these podcasts. I learned the name of a meme. This is apparently Swords United. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this. That's the name of the meme. Congrats. If you're at Google, Google Swords United. But hey, you got Psychic Water Fighting all throwing their swords in the mix. And we know that, hey, that is what competitive GLC is right now. I mean, the Psychic Water Fighting is all we've been talking about the last couple sets. That's where we're at. If you want to be competitive, you want to win a 3K, play one of those. Or maybe an Earthworm. Maybe I should throw an Earthworm in the mix too. Seems like that card's strong.
Hey, yeah, possibly.
And things are changing every set release.
Didn't mention earlier the big break between this last GLC set release and the next one, but isn't there supposed to be an invitation for those who got a badge at Full Grip?
That happens every July. So our season is July to July. So
dude, it hasn't been a whole year since July, dude.
No. We had the invitational in August that Andrew recorded and then make the video on.
It's been a long year, guys.
All right. It feels like I won the colorless one like a couple of years ago, but that was back in April. That was not even that long ago.
Oh man, dude, that all happened this year. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, 2025 has been a year for sure.
All right, I forget I said anything. Yeah, I know I've been at a different time.
Our recap episode is going to be so long, dude. Not thinking about this year.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, man, what are we going to talk about? Apparently, things happen this year. Yeah, it's been a long year for myself. So,
yeah, all the phases we've been through in the GLC meta in just a year. It's like it is pretty cool how not stagnant an expanded format like GLC is, and that, a lot of that has to do with, they keep printing better cards every set to increase the power level. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It would suck if they printed a new set and none of the cards were usable, right?
Yeah.
That would be boring.
Yeah.
So this is definitely, in my opinion, preferred to the opposite, where, we're getting cards that we would never use to replace anything in GLC. So
Yeah, definitely.
And with the dominance of Psychic currently, that's a major response to Fighting's power in the last set release. And who knows, people are cooking Dark. I wouldn't be surprised to see even a higher count of Dark played at the next 3K. And Dark might even get even more tools at the next set release. So the future is still bright for GLC.
Oh man, what I would love to see a Turbo Dark with Toxtricity build come in and top 8 one of these events. That'd be so sick.
I'm kind of excited to possibly see the new Dragon Rayquaza that got announced.
Yes, yeah, that one's really cool. Actually, I think that would definitely.
Is that
especially
attack one?
Yeah, it does 120 on a switch in for 2 energy.
No, yeah. Yep, I just got it for that one.
Or 110.
Even on the Head Dragon DDE. It's a double colorless. Yeah, I'm excited for that one quite a bit. It'll make me actually build Dragon, because Rayquaza is somebody actually quizzed me today what my top 5 are Pokemon, and Rayquaza is probably like 3, right? So I'm excited to play some Rayquaza Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really cool to get like a good GLC Rayquaza card. It's not really, he hasn't really had a space in any deck.
Yeah,
I've seen the colorless one get played. I don't know if it's cool, but I've seen it get played.
That then refers to those people as those people that like their decks.
Yeah, those people. You can't get me saying that.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that, bro. All right. Well, do you guys have any closing remarks before we let them go?
It's always fun time at the 3Ks. Try and come out to the next one if you're nearby. It'll be a lot of fun. Keep cooking, even though we talk about, the top 3 decks being Psychic, Water, Fighting. That's just at these highly competitive events. If you have a local shop near you, a lot of locals are filled with people cooking new decks, cooking different archetypes, playing fun decks. It's never a wrong choice to not play one of those top 3 types if you feel inclined. Just be, if you're coming for the big cash money, be prepared for them. But GLC at its core, I think, is still just a very fun format. Aside from standard, a break from standard. Play with your favorite Pokemon. Enjoy the game. Make some friends.
I agree. You heard it here first. Stay in the kitchen. Play what you want. Jeff, I think it's time to close us out. If you liked it, give it a like. If you want to let us know what your thoughts are, let us know down in the comments. But other than that, it's been great having you guys. It's been the Unfazed Facts podcast. Have a great week.